All right. Welcome to Weather and Climate Chat for January 29th with Dr. Davis and Monsoon Mike Regensberger. Dr. Davis, first show back from the storm. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good after digging out.
After digging out. And we both got a little bit buried, I guess you could say, figuratively.
Pun intended.
Figuratively and literally. Me especially. What was I saying? Maybe 12 tops. Maybe you went a little higher than that. Or
For
no, I was.
Kutztown?
Yeah, for Kristen. No, I think you were the 12, and I
went
was even
9
below
to
that.
12.
You were at 12, and I
went-
think I was like 6 to 10, I believe.
Yeah, you went a little bit lower than me.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember what exactly. Well, the long and short of it is we both got killed.
Even if you combine both of our measurements,
still were low.
still didn't get there.
We still were low. So, yeah, we both got killed, especially me. What happened? Allentown broke an all-time record, even beating, just as a little summary, Allentown had their biggest blizzard ever, 31 inches, I believe.
31.6,
7, something like that. That was their biggest, beating blizzard of 96. Philadelphia did not break a world record, but it still came in as a respectable number 4, beating out one of my favorite blizzards as my childhood, 1983, which is now number 5, but not surpassing the blizzard of 96, which was 30.6. I believe this storm charted somewhere around 21 point something in Philly. Mm-hmm. Harrisburg, I think, did it like Allentown. I believe they broke a record.
Reading got, I think, 34, 35.
34, 35. I think this storm was number 2 because the blizzard of 96, I believe, beat it by about 2 inches. So so Harrisburg and Allentown all-time records. Philly and Reading came close. And as close by as Scranton, we knew about that sharp cutoff, a big 1 inch.
Yep.
So that's pretty amazing. And I just talked to somebody up there. It's practically all gone already. This grass is all green. And their yearly total is 4.8, I believe. So how crazy is that Scranton's got 4.8 and Philadelphia, Allentown have pretty much have their entire season of snow done already.
Yeah, the average snowfall
Yeah.
I know in Allentown's like 33 inches.
So it's pretty much
and
one
they
storm
got
took care of it.
31 in one day.
So pretty much one storm took care of the whole year.
Pretty much.
So what happened? I mean, what made us? I mean, we kind of saw we had that skepticism. We said last week that it was a high bust potential storm, that we could bust low, but we didn't think we were going to bust that much low. What happened, Dr. Davis?
You had the low pressure go
Yeah.
off the coast, and it re-intensified with interacting with the Gulf Stream. So you
Okay.
had warmer ocean water affecting the cooler air from the surface, and that's pretty typical for strong low pressure systems to really what we call deepen off the eastern coast, where the pressure drops and you have more essentially uplift being generated. You have more moisture coming in, and that band of snow pretty much aligned itself. It's kind of between the Lehigh Valley area and Philadelphia. So Kutztown, Reading, down toward Lansdale, they all got
Part of it.
a lot of snow,
Yeah.
and that extended back into the Panhandle region of West Virginia and Maryland.
Yeah, we should say that area. I saw some Renegade. I think I saw 140-inch reading in some little town in the middle of nowhere, West Virginia.
And then you have the mountain
so,
effect too. going
Yeah,
on
sure.
there.
But, so as bad as you think we had it here, add another 10 or so inches to that, and that was West Virginia.
And then you had southern New Jersey, which had all the flooding, and
Yes.
then that water froze overnight. And you had pretty much like ice flows going
Right.
through the communities down there.
So for all intents and purposes, yeah, we kind of got a little bit, surprised because the storm took a slightly northern jog, I guess you could say, for this area. But the models did a pretty good job calling the storm all the way out. Pretty much Washington, Baltimore got as expected. Philly pretty much got as expected. Scranton got ripped off pretty much as expected. It was just pretty much our area that got the surprise.
I think there was
Yeah.
a situation where we were thinking that someone was going to get slammed,
And we got it.
and it turned out to be us.
Well, there you go. And didn't we always say this from day one getting into this El Nino winter that is going to be generally above the normal temperature-wise, which, I mean, just looking a month ago, Dr. Davis, when we were having world records on Christmas Day in the 70s.
The 70s.
Yeah.
And I was telling the students, I
Yeah.
believe in late November, early December, we were flirting with 80, I believe. at
Yeah, there
one
was.
time.
There was one day, I think it was like 77, I believe, something like that. And then just a month later, here we are with one of our bigger snowstorms.
But that
of all
does
time.
seem pretty typical for a winter El Nino
El Nino
pattern
winter.
where it's warm, and then all of a sudden late January, early February, here comes a big snowstorm, slam you.
And this happened, as I always say, you know me with my favorite winter, 82, 83, same thing, 65 degrees on Christmas Day and February 11th, one of the biggest snowstorms of this area.
Yes.
So another strong El Nino winter, same thing.
And it was another case, too, going back to the models, that they were actually showing fairly accurate depiction of what the storm was going to do.
Yeah, I think they handled it very well.
Some meteorologists were maybe a little skeptical about how strong the storm was going to be, where it was actually going to go, myself included.
Yeah.
And it turned out that the NAM, that seemed like it was
very
going
well.
crazy, actually did the best.
Did very well, yeah. I now will respect Uncle Nam a little bit more next time. If he says anything crazy the next storm, I will say, well, maybe you're onto something. Just, my one friend kind of joked, Sal, Stormwatch Sal, my cohort, he's like, he considered the NAM sort of like that crazy uncle that gets drunk at the table and usually comes out with a bunch of nonsense, but occasionally says something accurate.
Yeah.
So he said that was Uncle Nam's time of accuracy.
Yeah, once in a while,
Yeah.
the NAM can hit its mark.
Right. So, well, either way, we got nailed. We got a good storm.
And then Tuesday, we got a little bit of that renegade freezing rain around
Yes,
there.
yeah, that took some people off guard, but not really Monsoon Mike's fans, because we had said about it Monday night that there could be some of that. A little more expansive than I was expecting. There was a rash of accidents, we'll say, Tuesday morning, especially along I-78. But what this time of year, what people don't realize is that having that blanket of cold on the ground, the models sometimes underestimate a little bit the warmth the next day when there's that blanket of cold already on the ground.
And then you also have to look at the depth of the cold layer at the surface, because that's going to be very important when you start talking about freezing rain.
Right. So we had that little bit of freezing rain on Tuesday. And this morning, some people were messaging me, "What's going on? What's this blizzard outside?" I said, "It's just a cold front moving through. It'll be past. You'll see."
We had a weak cold front come through, had a little bit of uplift to it.
Yeah.
We got a quick snow shower.
Yeah.
But that quickly departed, and we are now sitting pretty right now.
Pretty nice. Now, looking ahead, that pretty much that's pretty much your wrap up of the blizzard of 2016. And I should say that since we always try to be as technical as possible here on Weather and Climate Chat, that technically that wasn't a blizzard, even though blizzard warnings were issued. I don't think we reached that criteria of what needs to be 3 full hours of
3
winds.
full hours, winds 35 miles per hour, and visibility down to a quarter of a mile.
Visibility was pretty low for a while there, though. I will say that. Yeah,
I think some areas did meet that criteria.
they did. Okay.
But it wasn't as widespread as what the Weather Service, I think, was anticipating.
But it was good that they did issue that warning because people took it seriously. And
because the conditions were pretty
Bad
darn
enough.
close to blizzard conditions.
everybody stayed home, which was good. My road was dead. It was nice to just have a day where everybody was just quiet, and I think that was definitely a good thing. And
Unfortunately, we heard about deaths from this storm.
yeah, I've heard some freaky deaths this particular storm. You always hear about deaths, but this storm seemed to have some extra strange ones. A pregnant woman not far from here in Pottstown died. A man was sitting in his car. A snowplow came by, plowed him in. He never got out, and carbon monoxide poisoning. So, I mean, we just have to keep stressing to people that when the weather people say stay inside, stay inside.
Or people start shoveling snow and think
take it
they're
easy.
macho
Yeah.
and going to be lifting up big blocks of ice and snow, and they overstrain themselves or worse.
Yep. So please take it easy. Fortunately, and I will say, Dr. Davis, you know me, I'm a snow fan. You're a snow fan. After this past week and after all that snow, I'm generally pretty satisfied. I mean, I wouldn't really care if we got no more this year.
I think our snow appetite has been addressed.
It's sort of like being starved for food and then going to Shady Maple Smorgasbord, totally picking out, and then you're like, I don't want to eat again for another month.
Let's just sit and take it all in for a little bit before having to
Now,
go.
do you think we go another month without any more storms, or do you think we get a little more active again? I mean, the next week, for the next, I'd say 5 days, looks like we warm up pretty nicely. In fact, I see some models implying 50s, maybe even pushing 60 for a couple days next week.
Yes, we have the trough out in the west that's going to be really digging, going further south into the almost Four Corners area of New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, and Colorado. And pretty much pulling the whole jet stream down with it. So now instead of having a northwesterly flow of the jet stream, we're going to have more of a southerly or southwesterly flow.
Right.
And south winds usually bring warmer air because if you go further south, it's generally warmer.
Right.
So that's why we're going to be looking at temperatures climbing over the next couple of days and early in the next week. We may even see mid-50s, possibly 60.
Just like the old days, like December.
Yeah, back to December.
Just
all
like the
over
old
again.
days, yeah. And with that, of course, comes a lot of snow still on the ground. I know, I haven't gone out to measure what's left out there, but it's obviously we lost some this week, but there's still a good, healthy, at least 1.5 feet or maybe more on the ground. Do we have to worry about melting, you think, next week?
Generally, with melting, if you have warmer temperatures, the snow will not melt as quickly as, say, with liquid rainfall.
A lot of rain, yeah.
If you get a lot of rainfall, that's when you start running into issues because not only are you melting the ice from the warmer temperatures that are necessary for rainfall, but you have that liquid water coming in contact. And you think about if you have like trying to almost clean out your freezer pretty much, and how you pretty much can eat away at most of the ice that may be built up and pretty quickly with water because of that interaction between the liquid and the solid state.
Now, there is some rain forecast for next week, but I don't think it's overly heavy. I mean, I haven't looked at the latest GFS model. In fact, I can bring it up right here on my phone
for early portion of next week, we're looking at the mid-low 40s.
Okay.
That will be a nice, steady, sustainable melt.
Good.
That I think most of the waterways can handle. We've kind of been lacking snowfall as we've seen for the past winter, and I think we're even a little bit below average for precipitation for the year. So I think the watersheds can handle it, but when you start getting liquid water involved as well, then you start to compound those issues.
Now, I just am looking at the latest 12Z GFS model right now, and it has potentially some pretty good rain coming in on Wednesday. Wednesday looks like it could be potentially a pretty rainy day.
And that system's coming out of the south, correct?
Yep, correct. And that's also going to be behind that's going to be a cold front, which is going to send our temperatures back to normal. But let's just hope that we do a fair amount of melting with those nice 40-degree days before we get to Wednesday.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we won't have as much to worry about on Wednesday.
And I guess the good thing about that is it's going to be liquid rain, not snow.
No concern.
I don't think many people are wanting to deal with more snow this go around.
But beyond Wednesday, we do get into a more seasonable pattern once again, but really not anything too extreme, and I don't really see any snowstorms on the horizon. I mean, some folks are talking about maybe some activity around Super Bowl Sunday, but that's well out of our range of comfort.
Yeah.
And one thing that we really haven't talked much about, Dr. Davis, and maybe you can teach us a little bit about this, the North Atlantic Oscillation. That's something that meteorologists and weather gurus look at. And the North Atlantic Oscillation doesn't look like it's necessarily in a phase that would be conducive to any more blizzards. Talk about that.
With the North Atlantic Oscillation, sometimes called the NAO, you have essentially a pressure differential between the pressure systems you're going to find off the eastern coast of the U.S. If you have, there's two states that you can have with the NAO. You can have a positive or a negative phase. A positive phase pretty much indicates that you have a higher pressure sitting over the New England, Canadian Maritime area, which sets up something known as blocking. And in this blocking pattern, you can think about kind of like a football player blocking for the quarterback or
not going to let any storms up,
pretty much. So if a storm starts to move up the East Coast, it runs into that high pressure system and it doesn't move. So it stays in that general area or slows down, allowing more snowfall to impact us in the eastern U.S. Now, if it's negative, you don't have that blocking pattern in place, and the storm pretty much goes up the East Coast and exits relatively quickly, so you get less in the way of snowfall. Right now, and for the next couple weeks, maybe two, you have the NAO that's going to be positive, indicating that there's no blocking right now. Now, is that always a telltale sign of stronger storm potential for snows? Not always, because the NAO is about neutral. We did have a little bit of a blocking pattern going on, so maybe slightly negative for this past weekend with the snowstorm. But it's always a good indicator to meteorologists to see what capabilities this storm might have along the eastern coast.
So positive would be more okay. So I'm learning some things here too, because that's one thing that's always been not one of my expertise is the NAO. So the NAO, if it's positive, it tends to keep storms a little further south, but they're a little slower. Whereas negative, they're up the coast, but a little quicker. So is that what you're saying? Reverse. I thought that's
the
what
NAO
I meant.
being negative.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Interesting. Okay, so we're in a positive phase now.
Yeah, we're going positive. So in which case, it does not bode well.
Does not bode well.
strong
That's gotcha. So
thunderstorms.
does not bode well for
Bottom line.
which I think most people, unless you're a real snow geek, would be somewhat happy about.
Or in my climatology class. I'm talking to you, students.
Okay, exactly. Well, hey, I mean,
told them to listen to the show.
Good. I'm glad they do, and tell them to spread the word around. So there you have it, folks. Going to be warm milder the next few days, cooling back down to average after about Wednesday, but not necessarily anything to get too excited about yet. But as we saw with the last storm, that kind of just popped up on the models a couple days after one of our episodes. So we'll just have to watch and see what happens.
Yeah, and
February
some were telling us that this storm is going to be packing a wallop earlier this weekend. And
that's right. I
was like, I don't really see it because we were going positive in the NAO.
I saw that too. Yeah,
it just seemed like the jet stream was not favorable, and it pretty much is going to miss us. We got that little bit of snow earlier on Friday, and that was it.
I saw that. I don't know if that was a little bit of media hype or maybe just people running scared after all the snow that we just had. But could we have round two? And I'm looking and I'm seeing the NAO, I'm seeing the storm tracks. I'm like, I'm not very impressed by this at all. And people are messaging me, Monson, Mike, we're going to get nailed again. I'm like, I don't think so.
I had the same thing.
Yeah,
it was like, it's going to miss us.
Yeah, and it did. So, but we still got a long way to go in winter. We still got February, which has been known for some of our bigger storms.
And it's Groundhog Day next week.
That's right. His records is, well, we won't even go there.
I will say the groundhog is not very reliable.
He's not very reliable. Then again, some people that are haters of meteorologists would say we're not very reliable half the time either. So whatever.
But I think they would admit that we have a better potential to be right than the groundhog.
A better potential than the groundhog, especially when it's dependent on him seeing his shadow, and you're going to see. Of course, you're probably going to see your shadow if the sun's out or if there's lots of TV lights around. So I don't know. It's a fun event though. Have you ever gone to Groundhog Day celebrations?
I have not, but it probably would be something I'd be interested in just doing once, I'd say.
Me too. Yeah, my wife said she wants to do it just once. I guess we can all blame Bill Murray, I guess, for this because
in the movie, Bill Murray is the meteorologist.
He is the meteorologist. And actually, a little tidbit there just to show you how pop culture and movies have such an effect on people. Prior to that movie, Groundhog Day really wasn't as much of a phenomenon as it is now, and a lot of people blame that movie. So
I think it started as a German tradition.
Yeah, it was more of like a local Pennsylvania type, thing. People knew about it, but it wasn't really, that much. But now, thanks to that movie, thanks to social media, now it's this huge national holiday. So it's fun though. We'll see what King Groundhog says.
Whether it be Punxsutawney Phil or any of the other random groundhogs that are out there.
Oh, they're all over the place. There's a Pagoda Patty in Reading. I don't know if you heard about her. And there's all these other...
Ohio, we have Buckeye Chuck.
Whatever. It's all in good fun. Well, Dr. Davis, we survived the storm. We invite you to follow us on Facebook. Monson, Mike's Weather Headquarters on Facebook. And...
Dr. Michael Davis's weather forecast.
On your Facebook as well. Okay. We'll see you next week, Dr. Davis.
Sounds good.
Okay.